In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who appeared in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad, to whom all holy praises are due to forever. I also bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his servant and apostle, messenger. I can further attest to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan being a spiritual double of both of these righteous and holy men. It is in their names that I greet you with the greeting words of peace, which we say in the Arabic language. Peace and paradise to you. Assalamu alaikum. Well, welcome to my channel once again. My name is Lenore X, and I hope all is well with you all this afternoon. Now, before we get started, let's go ahead and ask you if you could be so kind as to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this channel. Okay? Thank you. I would appreciate that very much. All right, now we're going to get into part 4 of cause and effect, the divine laws of the universe. This would be part 4. And, excuse me for eating. Excuse me. Okay, let me get serious now. We're going to get into the law once again. And then, not so much as the one law of cause and effect, but the laws, period. But we're going to start with the word, okay, in the Bible. I don't know why I have the giggles today, family. You're going to have to forgive me. Okay. Let me get it together. All right. So, yes, the word, Genesis. Now, the law is clearly, I can't say clearly, that's the wrong word. But the law is there in the beginning, in Genesis, okay, in the Bible. And in Genesis, it says, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and it was void and all of this. And then it goes on to say that the Spirit of God moved on the waters, okay? And then he proceeded with creation. Is that right? Okay. Now, we're going to jump a little further back to the back of the book, or closer to the back of the book, where in John it says in the beginning as well, okay? And the gospel according to John, in the beginning was the Word. Is that right? And the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the same was in the beginning with God. Hmm? And then it goes on to say how in time that the Word became flesh and it dwelled amongst men. Now, the reason that we're pointing these things out is because we want to show you today the enemy and his language and how he has gotten a hold of this book, the Bible, and has basically mixed truth with falsehood, amongst other things. But I want to point some things out about these two beginnings. Okay, because Genesis has a version of the beginning, is that right? And John does also. But I want to point out the accuracy in these beginnings and how the enemy has used this so that the reader can process these things so that the reader can process these things uh, with confusion and in the wrong way. All right? Now, the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. Now, when we're talking about spirit, we're talking about a person's mental capacity, their thought processes. Okay, the pretty much. I don't want to use the word mood, but how they are really carrying themselves. Okay, that's the person's spirit. Let me point out to you that it says in Genesis, and the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. Now, waters, this is, let me break down the language. Okay? We find in the Bible what is it? It is literally saturated with allegory. And for anybody that's familiar with allegory, then you know that allegory is symbolism. It's truth, but it's made to resemble symbolism, okay? So that you won't quite know what is being said to you, okay? It's symbolism in generalizations, it's symbolism in truth, and it's symbolism it's to explain the human experience, to go into that, okay? So the enemy uses this language as well as, Latin. The Bible is pretty much been translated from Latin to English, but a lot of the Latin is still there, okay, if you pay attention. And back to the allegory, that language, the enemy uses it in two ways. It's either operative or it's speculative, okay? So it could cause you to speculate a conclusion or a generalization or truth or whatever the subject is is being spoken about. Now, in this particular instance with the spirit, I would have to say that it's a bit operative because it says the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. So it's kind of leading you to believe that there were waters there in the beginning. Is that right? I mean, from the way that you read it, you would kind of get that impression or idea. Okay? And what we're pointing out to you, those who read the Bible, which a lot of people do, it's important to understand what you read and what you have read, because as we said, it's saturated with allegory. So that you will, it's pretty busy. It's not by coincidence, because the enemy has gotten a hold to it. So it's that way for a reason, to confuse you. Okay? Now, waters in this context, okay, in the beginning, the waters are referring to, the mental capacity, all right, of the Father, of God, okay? Not that there was waters there, but waters in symbolic language is always referring to people, a person, okay? Most of your composition is water, hydrogen, H2O. So hydrogen and oxygen, but mostly water, okay? Now, I'm not saying that it wasn't water there. What I am saying is, look at how you're made to think about it, okay? Now, in the Gospel according to John, he goes on to say that in the beginning was the Word, right? If in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, then word, when we say word, we think of sound, okay? Because you can't have a word without a sound, and you can't have a sound without a vibration. Is that right? So in the beginning, with more accuracy, was the word, because there can't be a word without a sound, and without a sound there can't be vibration. Now we hit the law, okay? This is the law of vibration that was there in the beginning, okay? It's important that you understand these things. Now in John, it goes on to say that, the Father was there, and in him was life. Life. And when we're talking about life, we're talking about the light, because it says he was the life, And the life was the light of men. Okay? And this is so true today. Um, we can't have life or light without the Father. Okay? Is that right? So I want to point these things out because we have to dispel the spookism that is suggested here. Okay? We have to get out of that because that's spiritual death. And you have to know the truth today. All right? Now, in the beginning, which would be more accurate, and notice that John is more towards closer to the end of the book, whereas Genesis is the very beginning of the book. Okay? I want you to see how they're getting you to process this. All right? It's busy, like I said, and saturated with lots of allegory. The language is a lot going on here, so we'll get into that. But I want you to see how from the moment you open the Bible, it's there. It's has been tampered with to confuse and in some cases confound the reader. Okay, so that the reader can never really get a clear understanding, lest there be light. Okay, now let's go back to the beginning in the law. Okay, the more accurate and correct beginning is there with the word, which creates vibration, sound. Okay, Allah went through 3 stages of darkness in the beginning. All right, so first there had to be that vibration there. All right, that's the law, the universe, that mental movement there in the beginning. Okay, I want you to have the correct and accurate picture of this. All right, that was the law of vibration. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that he had to go through 3 stages of darkness and go to war with that darkness as well in order to break through with life, with light. Okay? I want you to understand not only the origins, but how things transpired as well. It's very important. This is not mystery or spookism. This is absolute real reality. Okay? And in the universe, as I have explained in different videos, that this is all science. It is mathematics. All right? It is ultimately time. Okay? Because the universe, when you think about it, there is so much there. There are galaxies, okay? There are sun, moon, stars. So much out there. But with all that being said, it's governed and created out of the sciences and mathematics. Okay, it is the signature, if you will, of the universe, which Allah originated the heavens and the earth. Okay, I want you to understand that. Okay, so it is an infinity of time, all right, because we all come from that birthplace, and we have within our composure the universe. Okay, we have fire, wind, water, all of these things, dust, particles, all of these things from the laws. All right, I want you to think about that. We absolutely have that within our composition. All right. Now, of all of these laws that we have, let's start with the basic four fundamental ones, the ones that are, I would say, that we encounter every day on an everyday basis, perhaps, or we are more familiar with. These laws are more on a basic level. Okay. Let's start with strong force. Okay. Strong force is the binding together of particles. I like to liken it to the revolution that takes place in the womb of the female. As the sperm touches the egg inside of the female, life begins, and it begins to revolve, rotate, and with that revolution, it begins to build a momentum of more and more cellular structure. Okay? This is what we call strong force. Okay? We see this out in nature. Okay? Especially with the changing of the seasons. Something builds momentum and it comes. We see this with storms. If you take a look at that. Okay? I want you to begin to see the four fundamental laws at work, at least the basic ones. Okay? Weak force. That's the opposite of strong force, of course. It is the deterioration of particles and the changing of the composition of those particles. There's an interaction that happens there. We see this out in nature, and we see this within ourselves as well. With us, it's the deterioration. So as we get older, we lose our eyesight, we lose teeth, the body begins to decay. When somebody is dying, that's pretty good, accurate way of looking at it. Weak force. But when you look out in nature, you can see it from the changing of the seasons. Okay. You see that the leaves change colors and fall off the tree and all of these things. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Even their texture changes. Okay. Not as, soft. They get brown and crunchy in the fall, excuse me. But they are green and leafy and so vibrant looking in the spring and in the summertime. Is that right? Okay, that's weak force. And of course, we know about gravity. Okay, that happens to us uh, when we're children. We fell off something. We're introduced to gravity early, trying to learn how to walk, right? So there's a force that pulls us to the earth. Is that right? All right. So we come in contact with these forces more often than we realize. And of course, there's electromagnetic force, and that force, if you look out into nature, you'll see perhaps out here in Arizona where I live, there's always some lightning happening, especially during monsoon season. We get to see basically a lightning show. Okay, that's electromagnetic force. Also, you encounter electromagnetic force a lot when you go to plug something in, like your phone, perhaps. You know, there's magnetism um, surrounding that electricity. Okay. So anyhow, these laws are built on science and mathematics, all type of mathematics. Okay. But my point is, Allah is the originator of the heavens and the earth. Okay, so it starts with Him. All right, let's get that clear. All right, now we want to share today how the enemy has taken the laws of God and has basically used them as a weapon against us. All right? Now, we're going to start with something that we